It doesn't happen very often, but if you travel long enough, eventually you're going to open the door to a place that isn't what you had pictured.
We've spent 1,069 days on the road, and that's comprised over 110 accommodations. And some of them have been really great, some have been just okay, and some of them, let's just say, they weren't what we expected, including the place we just left.
But we found that even when things go sideways, there's always a way to make it better, or at least memorable. Here's what we do before, during, and after a stay that doesn't go to plan.
I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Find Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way.
We have so much to be grateful for. And it's not just saying that things are fine when they're not, it's choosing the narrative that you want to tell about your story.
So if you want to book a great place and avoid a disaster, it really starts with doing your research up front.
And it's never going to be perfect, but you can hedge your bets. First of all, we tend to have better luck at Airbnbs than we do at bookings.com. Of course, hotels can be great, but they're not 100% fail-safe either. So sometimes it just takes making sure that you look at every single picture and that you read every single review and you listen to what people say. You don't dismiss some of the concerns that people raise.
Yeah, a lot of times the negative reviews aren't as negative as they could be, so maybe you need to look deeper into them. And some of the pictures, maybe they're optimum pictures that they took years ago. So you kind of have to look at the picture and say, wait a minute, this one looks newer than that one. Wonder how the place looks now. Look for those oddities that don't seem right.
Which brings up to another good point where you really want to make sure that the reviews that you're looking at most are the current ones. Yeah. Because if from 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 12 years ago, that could be an entirely different experience.
Exactly.
We have a video that goes into all of this in a lot more depth, but we will say that choosing the right neighborhood is really important. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you choose the most expensive property, you're going to have the best experience either.
No, we've had some really great experiences with some of the cheapest places.
Yeah, we've had $22 accommodations, and they've been great in certain parts of the world.
And when you're looking at a listing, make sure you look for the things that are important to you. For us, it's light. We can't stand staying in a dark place that has no windows.
Now, that's not to say that we don't ever make that mistake, but we really try to be very careful about that in advance. Because when it's dark and gloomy inside, it just kind of lowers our energy in a place.
Yeah, I didn't know what time of day it was in Taipei. Just no clue.
You know what can really get us into trouble? The fact that expectations are the most expensive things that we pack. So when you first arrive in a place, you have to be mindful of the fact that you've just had a travel day. You're probably tired, you're hungry, maybe hangry, and you aren't necessarily in the best frame of mind to assess something, especially if you show up somewhere and the walk up is a little disconcerting.
Sometimes you have a host that's there with you and you can't do exactly the walk around you want to do. But after the host leaves or after you get your luggage in, we always do a walk around. Now, I record it because we have a YouTube channel, but it's not a bad idea to record your space. Maybe there's something that's broke. Maybe there's something that's out of place, and it's not your fault. So if you have pictures or video of it, now you've got that covered.
All the pictures in the world aren't going to prepare you for the way a place smells.
Yeah, for instance, our recent stay in Dubrovnik.
We did read the reviews that said that it had an odor, but we also knew that this is an old town and there are sewage problems. So we went in with a reasonable expectation that that could be the case.
Well, I think I missed that review because when I walked in, I was not prepared for this. And I thought, this can't stay like this, right?
Now, fortunately, we were only there 2 weeks. And for us, I actually felt like being in Old Town, being in the center of everything was worth it, even for the old smelly pipes.
Yeah, exactly. She can't smell things, though. So, of course, it was perfect for her. There's no smell in here. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh, whoa. So, wasn't that bad, but still, it's something that you probably need to be aware of. Read the reviews.
When we were in Romania, the outside of a location, there was a lot of graffiti. It kind of seemed a little bit sketchy.
And we had a hard time finding the front door. There was so many dark areas of the entry of this building. The walk-up just was not great.
But it ended up being one of the nicest places that we'd ever been in once we actually got up to the accommodations.
Yeah, and once you see the inside, the issues of the outside just fade away. You know, we walked in every day thinking, we have a great apartment. Who cares what the walk-up looks like?
I mean, if you don't feel safe, you shouldn't be there.
Sure.
But
this wasn't that situation. It
Correct.
just didn't look the fanciest of buildings.
people ask us all the time, do we think we're just lucky?
I think we just are adaptable to the problems that could crop up. Now, we've never walked into a place and in the first 30 minutes said, this is not going to work. We have to get someplace else.
But if you do feel that way, of course, you may have to lose money. You can reach out to whatever booking platform to negotiate getting a refund. But if you don't feel safe or there's some reason that you think, oh man, this is not going to work.
Pipe damage, there's water in the place, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, we have been pretty lucky. We've stayed in places where we've decided we're just going to make the best of it. Partly that's because we don't choose to spend the most money we possibly could on accommodations, so we know we're going to be making some sacrifices.
Now, some places making the best of it means, oh, the seating area is smaller than we thought. We like a couch, but, it's going to work out. Or, this would have been better if the kitchen was a little bit bigger. Oh, the refrigerator doesn't have a freezer in it, so we can't buy frozen foods. Little things like that we certainly can get over, and we have in a lot of places.
And in some ways, those were things that we knew in advance,
right,
that there was going to be a small couch, there wasn't going to be a freezer.
But sometimes when you walk in,
you forget what you booked.
It hits you in the face like, oh, right, this is the place without a couch. Or, right, the kitchen was a little small. Now I see it's tiny.
I think the perfect example of that was in Madrid. We had a great location.
Excellent.
And it was kind of an expensive place for us to stay. So we knew we were going to be making compromise.
We had pictures. We saw what the sink looked like. We saw what the bathroom looked like. Like, well, it has a washing machine. How bad could it be? Well, the washing machine was the biggest thing in the bathroom, including the shower. So everything was a little tinier than we thought.
The bathroom sink actually was like what you would see in a dentist's office.
Yeah, a spit sink, yeah.
And it was an expensive place to stay, but the kitchen was teeny tiny.
It wasn't really a kitchen.
We had to cook, and so we made do, but it certainly wasn't the Ritz.
No, but I really enjoyed staying in Madrid. There was no problem with this. Having to deal with these smaller spaces or the little inconveniences didn't really matter because we were in such a great area. And even though it was a little noisy because there was a bar nearby, it was kind of lively and exciting to be near all the action. I don't know. I felt like the little compromises we had to make didn't matter. Now, not every bad stay is a disaster. Some are just character building.
We had no idea it was going to be quite so cold in Lecce, so we had reached out to the host because there was a sign saying that we couldn't adjust the thermostat ourselves. And she turned it up a degree or two, but we still froze. So we ended up letting her know that we were still cold, and she ended up solutioning it by just bringing over some blankets.
A lot of blankets.
We ended up watching Doctor Who covered up under blankets. It wasn't maybe what we expected, but there are places I don't remember. I definitely remember Lecce.
It was a cool apartment. Just wish it was 2 more degrees warmer. And sometimes the host does their best to make your situation better. When we were in Yerevan, the temperatures were ridiculously high, and unfortunately our air conditioning unit wasn't working. Now we reached out to the host. He came by, looked at it, said, oh, you're right. I'll get a master, which is their title for the expert to come in and fix things, which he did. He had this person come in, hung on to him as the guy hung out the window, trying to get everything working. It just couldn't be fixed that easily. So they had to make accommodations, which unfortunately didn't happen while we lived there.
Yeah, this was completely the opposite of Lecce, where we were sweating to death, but there was at least a fan and we could move it around.
Now, the other thing the host wasn't in charge of was power outages in the city. So sometimes those things happen and, to the best of their ability, the fan didn't work either.
Right. Yes. But he offered to give us a tour of some of the famous places to sightsee. The host brought us wine in apology, and he did take us to the airport for free in compensation for us having to put up with no AC for a few days. Yeah. And we were only there for, I think, 10 days. And in general, we feel like the host was trying to be as accommodating as possible. And we're willing to meet our host when we see that they are trying to do their best to make things right.
Yeah, and I think that's the important point of this. Work with your host as much as possible, because sometimes they can do some amazing things, and other times they can just make compensation for the problems you may be having.
There may be times where you've settled in and there aren't imminent threats where you feel like it's very dangerous, but the stay may not be going quite the way you expected. And you may have to make the decision, should I stay or should I leave? I think it depends on whether or not it is something that's under the control of the host or not. So you might, in those situations, have to suck it up and be prepared to lose the cost of the rest of your stay. We had a situation last year when we were in Verona with our daughter, and there was really loud construction.
Now, it was in the building behind us.
Right.
Which our host didn't have any control over. He wasn't aware necessarily that construction was going to happen.
It felt like it was in our ceiling. So I did reach out, and he did bring over a bottle of wine as compensation.
You know, if you have problems, we have problems, and you can't solve them, bring us a bottle of wine. I mean, the air conditioning doesn't work, bring us a bottle of wine. Too much construction noise, a bottle of wine. You know, if we're drinking wine, we're probably not going to complain about anything. And frankly, we were doing a lot of touristy things. We were walking our daughter around the city. We even went to Lake Como. So we weren't there all the time, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. It just was surprising.
We've also had people comment in some of our videos about how unfair it was because somebody got sick and they needed to leave and the host didn't refund their money. I actually don't think that they're responsible for your illness. If something that is part of your circumstances means that you can no longer stay, that's a situation where maybe you take it up with travel insurance if you booked some of that. Otherwise, I think generally you're prepared to have that be the cost of travel.
And it's funny, the places that we complained about or had the most problems are the ones we remember most clearly. As we mentioned in the intro, sometimes the most awkward situations are the best stories.
I almost feel like the accommodations that we book are a third traveler with us because there are so many stories that we have about the places that we've stayed. And some of them aren't bad. Some of them are just funny.
A lot of the stories happen to be around showers. I don't know why. Did you write an article about that?
I have a long article when we first started traveling that I had a story for nearly every bathroom we were in.
Now, one of the first ones was weird because we told this story to friends recently. It was such a small shower, like one of those little tube ones, and you have to like squeeze in and then close the door circularly around you. And the door was plastic, and the plastic was cracked. So you kind of had to hold the door together as you were closing it. And we mentioned to the host, not to have it fixed, but just so she knew this was a problem.
We
didn't break it. It's not our fault. She said, no, I understand that. Do you want me to replace it? It's like, no, we're only going to be here a few days. We just want to let you know it's broken. But every day was this dance of get in the shower. Ooh, the door fell off. Put it back on. Move it just right. Make sure the plastic doesn't
it didn't all fall off.
The door kind of fell off.
It just moved off of its track.
Okay.
Not quite the same.
It was in my hand, so whatever. There was one time we were trying to get our luggage. We were leaving, was that in
Chiang Mai?
Chiang Mai. And we couldn't get back in our room. Now, it was one of those, you tap your fob and it was supposed to open the door and nothing was happening.
We couldn't get a hold of the host.
No.
And we were getting ready to leave to catch a plane.
Yeah, all we needed was our luggage, which was on the other side of the door. Went down to the receptionist and she said, have you tried calling the host? Yes. And so she said she got some batteries and tried to figure out how she could get this door to work, And we're standing there panicking because we It's now 30 minutes to the airport, now 25 minutes to the airport.
And of course, that could be a situation anywhere.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to laugh a little bit about it. Maybe not in the moment, but afterwards.
We laughed after we got on the plane.
We had another situation when we were in San Jose and we were starving. We were ready to go out for breakfast. And I think it was late that day, but for whatever reason, I think there was a power outage and we couldn't open the gate. And we thought, are we doing something wrong? We just can't get out. Fortunately, we could get a hold of the host that time, and she had to direct us to
the hidden key.
Well, it was actually a garage door opener.
That's right, yeah. We had to leave through the garage door.
I mean, it worked out. Yeah. And fortunately, by the time we came back, everything was all working again. And I guess I feel like, you could have many, many things to complain about, or you can laugh about them. And we choose to laugh, and we try to not take our travel experiences or ourselves too seriously. And I think that that actually is our secret sauce, because things are going to go wrong, and what attitude you put on it makes or breaks your entire time.
Yeah, what stories would you have to tell people if everything went perfectly?
We would love to hear yours. Leave us a note in the comments.
So after you leave a place and you're ready to leave a review, there's a certain amount of etiquette that we recommend.
If there are things that the host could have fixed, you shouldn't complain about them for the first time in the review. Give them the opportunity to make certain things right. Now, I don't think you need to complain about everything to your host. I think that there's a certain amount of things that are reasonable for guests to tolerate. So we aren't going to complain every single time the knives aren't super sharp, or if there isn't a specific pot or a colander. Maybe we'll leave a note for the host or ask about that while we're in our stay and see how they respond to those requests.
Yeah, I think reviews are for things that are significant that other people should be aware of.
There are situations that I don't think warrant a public notice in the review, but I will privately tell the host this. For instance, when we stayed in Yerevan, I did let the host know I'm not going to complain about the AC because it sounds like it's in the process of being fixed. And he assured me that it was. So, there are times you just want to be fair. In general, I want to be able to help the next person, but I think that there's a way to be kind and doing it in such a way that is not inflammatory to the host. You want to be respectful.
Right. If a listing is wrong, if it said one thing and another thing happened, and the host has no way to fix that, if there is a thing you were looking for, like a washing machine, and it's not there, you should either tell the host to pull that off the listing or point it out in the review.
And sometimes you can even say, all right, this washing machine didn't really work very well, but I would have notified the host about that as well. And I would probably also document what the host's response to that situation was. And I think that's a nice way of closing the loop versus just saying something inflammatory that then they have to defend without you having an actual conversation about it.
Right. There's a bit of traveler's karma here. You want to help the next guest, but you also don't want to hurt the host. So to sum it up, after hundreds of stays, we are not looking for perfection. We understand that if our expectations are a little bit lower, we could really have some surprise and delight when we walk into a place.
Yeah, for one situation was in Siem Reap, and we were getting close to our reservation, and the host let us know that there was going to be construction.
Right. Not in our place, but nearby.
Yes, and I think that maybe we were on the first floor and the noise would have been loud. And he actually owned the entire building. And so he offered us a chance to stay on the third floor where we wouldn't hear the noises directly. Okay, you're telling me that you're offering us a stay in a better space for the same price that we paid, and you're telling us that if it doesn't work out, we can leave at any point during our stay and not have to pay for it, which was an unbelievably kind thing for our host to offer to us. But it worked out so well. So I think that there's a tendency to think, oh, there's always somebody that's going to try to screw you over. Right. But there really are very good people and very kind people in the world. And even though it's easy to be jaded at times, it's still worth giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. This is not platform specific. This is not type of building specific. Hotels, Airbnbs, apartments, any kind of stay can have problems. But if you go into it with a positive attitude, if you go into it looking for what are the good things I can get out of this, I think what you get out of it is exactly what you're putting in.
I completely agree. And I love that philosophy. I think that when you walk in with a grateful heart, your expectations are reasonable, you are more likely to be delighted and surprised than when you are walking in expecting to find problems. Yeah. After 1,000 days on the road, we shared our top 10 learnings in this video here. You'll want to watch it next. If you haven't already subscribed, we would love for you to do that. And the best compliment you can give to us is to recommend our videos to your friends and family.
And remember to
wander more,
worry less,
and bring a passport.
Until next time.
Until next time.